You're listening to Thursday Night Tailgate with Chris Mascaro and Bob Lazari, where NFL legends live on. Back to you, boys.
It's him. He's alive.
All right, now joining us to help us go through our five-star picks of the week is former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins. Hey, Tony, how are you tonight, my friend?
Hi, Tony.
Doing fantastic. How you doing, Chris and Bob?
Great.
Really well, thank you, Tony. So, Tony, last week, like we talked at the end of the segment, we all sort of, we picked the same winners. So no one was going to get the opportunity to make up any ground on each other. But the good news is we all finished 4-1. We all had the Panthers over the Falcons, the Jags over the Bengals, the Cowboys over the Chiefs, and the Lions over the Packers. We all foolishly believed the Bills actually had turned the corner and maybe were on their way to being a playoff contender. So we all took them over the Jets, so stock down on all of us for believing in the Bills. So 4-1 again last week, and now for the season, Bob and I, we remain tied at 26-14. Tony, you're 22-18, but like we've been saying the last few weeks, still a lot of time left for you, my friend.
Chip away.
That's right. All right, so let's get into our Week 10 picks, fellas. And our first game is going to be the 5-3 Bills. Speaking of the Bills, hosting the 6-2 Saints. The Saints are a 3-point road favorite. The over/under is 46.5. So, Tony, are you buying into the Bills again this week?
Not at all. I like the Saints, man. The Saints are hot right now. They got a great offensive attack. The defense is playing good football. I don't know what the hell the Bills are doing. I don't know how they can lose to the Jets. So got to go with the Saints. And Saints coming up to Buffalo. Might be a little cold, but Saints just got too much for Buffalo right now. So I'm going with the Saints, 27-14, New Orleans.
All right. Bob, what do you think?
This one's tough to pick, guys. It's hard to say. Well, for Buffalo to play another game like they did last week, especially being home, they do have a lot to prove, and they're a good team up there. So I think they're going to turn it around this week, guys. Stock is down, Chris. I barely do I pick the same team that burnt us the week before, but I still think they have enough to prove, and I think somehow they get it done in maybe some not-so-good weather conditions. I'm going to pick Buffalo this week. I don't do that often, but I'm going to say they win one. How about 23-21, close game?
All right. Well, fellas, the Bills are now in the same category for me as the Cardinals. No way I'm ever picking them again. Their offense, to me, looked stunned last week against a very physical Jets defense. They played incredibly well. And, and guess what, fellas, and Tony, you alluded to this a moment ago, but the Saints defense, which has sort of always been their weakness over the last several years, is ranked 9th in average points allowed and sacks. They forced 10 fumbles this season, which is 6th best in the league. And then you sort of throw in Drew Brees, right, in their offense, which has scored the 6th most points in the league, and then a Bills defense that is ranked 26th against the pass, and which is a sort of a bad combo for the Bills, right? You're facing Drew Brees and you're struggling on pass defense, and Brees, as usual, is near the top of the league in passing yards. He's got 13 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, 105 quarterback rating. The Saints are near the top of the league in rushing yards, which is another thing we're not used to seeing, right? The Saints rushing the ball well. Mark Ingram, 8th in the league in rushing yards, averaging nearly 4.5 yards a carry. And the kid Alvin Kamara, 10 carries last week, 68 yards, a touchdown against the Bucks. So since they started the season 0-2, and Tony, you mentioned this as well, Saints have won 6 straight. So yeah, I'm taking the Saints to win this one. I think they win it handily, and sort of a Tony Collins blowout special, if you will. I'm saying they win this game 37-20. Our second game is the 5-3 Cowboys going to the slumping 4-4 Falcons. The Falcons are somehow a 3-point home favorite in this one. The over/under is 50.5. Tony, can the Falcons save their season, or do you think they're done now?
I think they're done. I think, I know Cowboys, they lost their star running back, Ezekiel, but I think their 2 backup running backs are good enough to start on some teams in the NFL. So, Atlanta, man, I just can't figure those guys out, man. They're a very disappointing team right now. Super Bowl team and where they're playing right now. But the Cowboys, I just think they're not going to miss a beat in the backfield. So I'm going with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys win. I think they're going to put us a lot of points. 31-24 Cowboys.
All right. Bob, what do you think?
Wow, it's going to be a tough week. I'm going to give Tony a chance to catch us, Chris. I'm going to go with Atlanta. Atlanta, to think that they would actually be under 500 if they lose this game is staggering. They've given up more points than they've scored. I think the Cowboys just are going to have to get used to being without Elliott. I think Atlanta does have something to prove. They have a lot of pride, and they're a Super Bowl team. And, again, this is a must-win for them, guys. I mean, Dallas, they'll still have 5 wins if they don't win. I mean, Atlanta just cannot lose sight of New Orleans. So I'm going to think Atlanta goes on the road, does a really good job. Well, they're actually, they're playing in Atlanta, right, guys? So I think,
right.
I think Atlanta gets it done, Chris. I'm going to say Atlanta wins 34-30, high-scoring affair.
All right, guys, and like we talked about last week, I continue not to like anything I'm seeing from the Falcons. They got out to a quick 10-0 lead last week against the Panthers. Didn't score again until the final 2 minutes of the game. They're only averaging 17 points a game over their last 5, and for the further reason, you look at they're a -4 in the giveaway-takeaway ratio. So, and thanks in large part to the fact that their defense only has 2 interceptions so far this season, good for 31st in the league. So there just isn't much to like about what we've been seeing from the Falcons for about the last, month and a half. And now, to what we talk about here, right, with the Ezekiel Elliott situation, when Bob and I were talking about it, Tony, at the top of the show, so that, and you mentioned it a moment ago as well. So he's going to be gone for 6 weeks unless, goodness knows, the NFLPA finds some other loophole to jump through. But you know what? They've got Alfred Morris. They've got this kid Rod Smith that they're high on. Darren McFadden is also still there, so they can still run the ball if they need to. And the Falcons are 18th against the run. They allowed the Panthers to run all over them last week to the tune of 201 yards. So I imagine the Cowboys will continue to have success running the ball. I think they're going to have success in this game. So I take the Cowboys as well. I'm with you, Tony. I think they win this game 27-20. Our third game is the 6-2 Vikings going to the 4-4 Redskins. The Vikings are a 1.5-point road favorite. The over/under is 42. Tony, who do you like here?
I like the Redskins, man. They went out to Seattle and took care of business. A big win out there in Seattle. So, coming back home, they got to keep up with the Cowboys. And so I just think Redskins will put it all together again this week. And it's going to be a tough game, though. I'm going with the Redskins 17-16. Redskins.
Ooh, low-scoring game. So, Bob, are you with Tony, or are you going all opposite of whatever Tony thinks this week?
Go opposite.
I'm going to go all opposite. I'm going to go.
Going opposite.
Be a wild
there
one,
you
guys.
go.
When we tally the results next week. Yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota. I think they're hot. They've won a bunch of games in a row, and they're about to distance themselves in that Northern Division. And I think it will be a good game. But they play good defense, guys, and I think Washington just doesn't score enough, And in Minnesota playing the defense they do. So I'm going to say Minnesota actually goes in there and wins the game. How about 27-20?
All right. So, guys, I would normally have a hard time buying in on the Vikings with Case Keenum at quarterback. But you know what? To your point, Bob, they won 4 straight. Now, I'll be against, the Bears, the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, the Ravens, who they are, and the Browns. But, you can only play who is ever on your schedule. Keenum, he's a middle-of-the-road passer, right? He's 16th, which, I think when you think about a guy like Keenum having to play him, what more can you expect, right, from a guy like Keenum? Middle of the road. I think that's the most you would expect out of a guy who's typically a backup quarterback in this league. It's the Vikings defense, though, that's doing a great job to win these games, guys. They haven't given up any more than 19 points. 19 points is the most points they've allowed at any game so far this season. They're third against the run. They're seventh against the pass. Defensive end Everson Griffin is third in the league in sacks with 10. And Jerick McKinnon, oh, by the way, has done a nice job running the ball ever since Dalvin Cook went down. He's averaging nearly 4.5 yards a carry. He scored 3 touchdowns in their last 4 games. He's also getting some catches out of the backfield, 5 per game there. So I think they're doing enough offensively to support a great job that their defense is doing. So I'm going with you, Bob. I like the Vikings. I think they win this game 24-16. Couple more games to go. We've got our next guest, Danielle McCartan, hanging on the line. We'll get to Danielle here in just a minute. Our fourth game, fellas, is the 3-5 Chargers, who are essentially playing for their season, going to the 5-3 Jaguars. The Jaguars are a 3.5-point home favorite. The over/under is 41. Tony, can the Chargers keep their slim hopes alive, or is this going to be a Jaguars game?
Not a chance. A long road trip for the L.A. Chargers. Hard to say L.A. Chargers. A long road trip for them. Jaguars playing some good football right now. They got a great rookie running back. It's my blowout. I think Jaguars are going to beat them pretty good, 31-7.
Wow, 31-7. Bob, are you staying all opposite of Tony?
No, not on this. not on this guy.
All right.
Chargers just aren't a good offensive team, guys, and Jacksonville, the defense, Chris, is they're like the best in the league right now. And again, I think the Chargers, they're going to go to 3-6 after this game, Chris, and then all hell breaks loose there personnel-wise. I don't know where they go from here, but yeah, Jacksonville looks like they're on a team on a mission right now with that defense. So I think they handle them pretty easy, like Tony said. How about 30-13?
All right. And guys, it's rare that I like anything about what the Chargers are doing. It seems like for almost the entirety of Phillip Rivers' career with San Diego or now LA, they've either started off poorly and dug themselves such a large hole that they can't get out, or they start off great and then they falter in the second half. And this season seems more like the former. Right, their running game is struggling, 25th in the league. They're only averaging 89 yards a game on the ground. They're 22nd in scoring, averaging just under 19 points a game, which is almost 6 points per game less than they had last year when they finished 5-11. To both of your points now, they're facing a Jaguars defense that's number one in the league in sacks. They're number one against the pass. They're number one in average points allowed, only giving up 14.6 points per game. Plus, the Jags are third in the giveaway-takeaway ratio at a +7. Leonard Fournette comes back from his one-game suspension, and the Chargers defense are 31st against the run, giving up 135 a game. So nothing about the L.A. Chargers to like in this one. I'm with you guys. I like the Jags. I think they win this one 30-20. Our last game this week, fellas, is the Monday night game featuring the 4-4 Dolphins going to the 6-3 Panthers. The Panthers are a 9-point home favorite, and the over/under is 40. Tony, any chance the Dolphins pull off an upset here?
Not a chance. I like the way the Carolina Panthers are playing right now. Cam's playing some good football. The defense is playing decent enough to win games. And Miami, I don't know, man. They're 4-4, and I just can't see them coming up to Carolina winning this week. So I got to go with the Panthers. Panthers winning 27-17.
All right, Bob, who do you have here?
Totally agree with Tony. I mean, there's no way Miami's averaging 14 points a game, guys. How are they going to – if Carolina just shows up, they're going to put 20 on the board. So, I mean, do the math. I mean, there's no way Miami can win this game. So, let's go Miami. Let's go Carolina easily, 31-14.
All right, so no one's buying into a refreshed Jay Cutler who threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns last week against the Raiders, huh? Well – all right, well, we'll see what the Dolphins have, right? Their defense has got to come up big and stop Christian McCaffrey, who's done a nice job, running the ball and catching it out of the backfield. Dolphin defense is pretty strong, ranked 7th against the run. They're only allowing 94 yards a game, but Carolina's defense even better. Boy, they're second, only giving up 78 yards on the ground per game. They're also 6th against the pass and 4th in points allowed. This seems to be what I expected. This seems to be a tailor-made game where we see Jay Cutler just get frustrated, start slinging the ball all over the place. Some crucial interceptions, gives the Panthers offense some short fields and some easy points. So I think this is another one that gets out of hand, sort of right in the neighborhood with you, Bob. I got the Panthers winning 30-16. Tony, before we let you go, do what you always do. Remind our listeners about the great things you're doing helping kids go to college.
All you got to do is go to TonyCollinsFoundation.org now. Go there and help whatever you can donate. We're helping a lot of kids go off to college and doing a lot of prevention in different areas right now. So go to the website and help a kid out.
There you go. Tony, thanks again for all your time and the great things that you do for us every week by being a part of the show and our 5-star picks of the week. We'll see how we do. You might make up some big ground on Bob, or else Bob is going to bury probably you and me. We'll see how it works out. In between now and then, take care. All the best to you and your family, Tony.
Be well, Tony.
God bless, guys.
All right, see ya. as former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins and our 5-star picks of the week. We've got our next guest, Danielle McCartan, hanging on the line. We're going to get to Danielle on the other side of this quick station break.